To pray, there's no angels where I go, only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home.
Alrighty, hello everybody. This is Kira Show here. Now, whenever we last left off actually I don't think I labeled it 1 out of 2. So in part 41, Deku and Bakugo are heading down to the Amazon island, Themyscira, and they have landed. Midoriya immediately having swords drawn on him. They do notice his face. He sent a lantern to try and be diplomatic, informing them that he wants to take places off of the earth. Then again, they only saw his broadcast, along with him unmasking, as the evil Batman, wanting everyone to know the news. His face he will not hide. He is better off being known than being hidden. People will see you as a villain, whenever the only thing they have to attribute you to is to murdering the Justice League. Whenever it's been known that you've been manipulated before, it's at least a little bit easier to try and explain. As Midoriya is put on his knees, and is immediately just bound in the lasso, along with his hands being tied as the Queen forces his hands to the ground, beginning to ask him the questions. Exactly why are you here, young man? Well, as Midoriya begins to be compelled by the lasso, saying that he is here because he seeks one simple thing: peace. This world is dying, and he knows that there is no way to save it. He himself went up to the sun and saw it. The Sun Eater has already eaten too much. By now, the sun is probably only at about 20%, and it is soon going to be approaching critical mass. He's not too certain. That's a very rough estimate from what he saw last time. Along with that, he was hoping that the Amazons can aid him in future fights. They are all valuable and very strong warriors. And he is sorry for what he had to do to their princess. At the time, as the Queen would just tell him to shut up, stopping him, saying that that is a different question entirely, pulling the lasso tighter and compelling him to speak the truth, asking him exactly why did he murder their Diana. I murdered her because I was forced to. At the time, I didn't know who I was. And once I found out, I felt regrets. I felt shame. My powers returned to me. Some of them. I had to find my soul first. Your soul? What do you mean? I died. I died whenever Coast City, a city near my home, exploded. I fought with all I could. We tried to save it. Nothing worked. Bruce Wayne died in the explosion. So did other lanterns. And so many people. Lives we could not save. Even I was among the casualty. The lady asking him how did he die. Midoriya explaining. The man he fought overpowered him and took him down, killing him almost 2 years ago. Whenever that happened, they tried to beat him to death. His lover, or his, well, soon-to-be wife, she saved his life. She used her ability of rage In the process, she shattered her ring. Without the ring, she does not have a heart. Him explaining that, without hesitation, he gave up his own life. He gave her his heart in order to save her life. The Queen actually surprised by the statement, then asking if would do it again. Midoriya not even hesitating, saying of course he would, he loves her. The Amazon Queen, at least taking his statement, then at least acknowledging it, saying that they will leave with him, but they do have some terms. You are not taking this one city. You are taking this entire island. This island is our history. And it is also what we all know. The only thing we have known. Diana, and one other member of our tribe, as you can call it, are the only females to step outside of the island. And you are one of the very few males to be on the island. And she would untie him with the lasso, saying that he is also a very gentle heart, behind all of that bloodshed. Midoriya at least nodding, as they test Bakugo. His answers are a bit more, yeah, the reason why I'm this is because of that, this because of that. He was greedy, then he found hope and peace, then he kinda left to try and seek out Hal Jordan. The world felt weird. After his friend's death, things seemed out of place. He remembered telling Midoriya years ago that if he wanted a quirk just to swan dive off the roof, he'll get one in his next life. Words he regretted, and he felt throughout, well, his time outside of the Earth. Coming back to it was a shock. He was alive, and his world was dying. He wanted to spend the remaining parts of it with the woman he once loved. Even if she didn't feel the same, he at least wanted to be there. See her one last time. Not to have any regrets. And a surprise being that he had a child. He was not there with her. To see the child being born, to see it even, well, do anything. He barely learned about this child hours ago, and he would already give his life for it. He does not care if they execute him, but do at least consider the offer. Now, before they can even continue that, this is whenever something begins to happen. Portals begin to open up all around the Earth. Midoriya's ring in his core notifying him to this. Parademons are beginning to invade, and Darkseid is beginning to make his presence known. Midoriya knows this and he can feel it, as he does actually use his ring to contact Sarah. Whenever he does actually get her on comms, she would just tell him that she knows, and that she's already in the suit, as she is still in Metropolis, suiting up with Damien. Now, where is Red Hood? Red Hood decided to take a bit of his own time off. And he's decided to spend it murdering Batman's rogue gallery. Might as well get rid of those old scars while they're still, well, you still have time. Now, with that being said, the Amazons, they would get ready for battle, and begin instructing them that they must armor up. Gear is over there, and they need to get weapons. The Queen immediately ordering her troops to the armory, and taking them there, along with actually heading down to the beach. beginning to get more and more things. Their training gear is just standard weapons, bows and arrows, whatever they can get, along with a few Amazons actually handing Midoriya a sword, and telling him that he needs armor. Him immediately just forming some other constructs, and then getting ready, telling them all that parademons are on their way, as they begin to try and swarm the island, and try and take it over. Amazons beginning to charge, and head in. Midoriya just immediately just flying forwards, and slashing into them. As Ochako herself is scared. She's not really too sure what to do, as she actually does at least turn to yellow. And she does at least try and throw out constructs. These are very simple and get smashed through immediately. Bakugo stepping in and bringing up his left hand, blasting away at a lot of parademons, telling Ochako that she needs to focus and make sure she can use it properly. Imagine something like a gun. Do you know what one of those is? A machine gun, anything like that? Her at least saying, right. Beginning to try and make one. Bakugo is at least coaching her through this, as he does at least begin to make his own, Ochako just copying his designs. Now, Midoriya, he's slashing into and laying into parademons, as he just keeps swinging his left arm and his right arm outwards, slashing away at them with his sword. Whenever he does actually just throw it into the distance, sliding through and slashing through lines upon demons. As he begins to get overtaken, a lot of them do begin to try and at least force his way down to the ground. Midoriya is just being dogpiled by hundreds of them, as he does actually move backwards, beginning to blast away at them with his heat vision. The Amazons taking notice to that. That boy is a Kryptonian, just like the Superman. Interesting. Now, Midoriya is blasting away at them, and he does actually just land backwards on the beach, as he takes a deep breath in, then takes a deep breath out, as he freezes over a lot of parademons in front of him, then throws his hands backwards and smashes them out forwards as hard as he can. All the Amazons hearing a mighty shockwave, as everywhere in that direction, parademons just begin to fall down into the ocean. The ones that were affected by his breath begin to be just taken down, shattered into pieces. Midoriya beginning to look around. He does at least want to go take the fight to Darkseid. Where is that sword? Him looking around, and seeing one jammed into a rock in the distance, as he begins to fight his way over to it, smashing into and killing a lot of parademons. As he grabs the hilt of the sword, and begins to try and pull it. A lot of people and Amazons telling him that he is not worthy of doing that. He is not worthy of the God Killer. The Queen is telling him that their old companion, she left the island, and in fact, she was a disgrace. She thought herself unworthy of that sword, so she left it here, in our hands, under our protection. No warrior, let alone man, is worthy of it. The Amazon's just watching. As Midoriya, he brings his other hand up and begins to pull the sword out of the earth. As he rips it out of the stone and holds it high, slashing into a line of parademons. The sword extending and following them, beginning to just murder dozens upon dozens. Midoriya watching that as he feels the weight increase, and something begin to pull him. Something try and compel him to use it. Midoriya immediately knowing what that is. telling it to stay out of his head, and that he is in control, not you. The sword telling him that it will follow his order, but it will only compel him upon his orders. Midori just flying upwards into the sky and sliding into more and more parademons, smashing through them and beginning to butcher them. The Amazons in shock. That boy is worthy of that weapon. Impossible. Then again, things have been crazier. This is the God Killer for all those who were confused. I meant to switch to it earlier. Now, for those of you who want an explanation as to what it is, it's a very strong-ass sword. It's also able to shapeshift. Now, Midoriya, he's beginning to use his hearing and trying to focus. Listening in all over the world. Where is Darkseid? Where is he? As he hears something over Metropolis. Turning back and telling the Amazons that he needs to go, and that he believes that they all have everything handled. Jiro smashing into and killing a parademon, beginning to create a construct suit around herself, as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Her just beginning to smash through everything with her passion. As she tells Midori that she is not letting him face him again. She's not letting him face anyone alone. The last time he died. Midoriya saying that he understands, but she needs to protect everyone here. He's a lot stronger than that. Along with this weapon, he knows that it's powerful. It has a mind of its own, and it's trying to get into his, but he will control it. Telling Jiro that he loves her, and if anything happens, that he will come right back to her. Jiro trusting him, and nodding, as she creates more constructs around her, beginning to create lasers, machine guns, and any type of weapon you can think of, along with literally just creating a freight train, smashing into and butchering multiple parademons, along with creating other things. Now, she will be doing that, and Bakugo and Ochako are still fighting. Bakugo giving her a crash course on how to kill one of these things, and how to use that ring. The whole grasp about it is that it focuses on your emotion, the current one that you are feeling, so you need to focus on it. Bakugo telling her to turn into a Green Lantern, use her willpower and she will be boosted up to 300%. Her trying to do so, and actually being successful. Feeling her power increase as she blasts away at multiple parademons. And Jiro herself feels her power increase, as she just begins to glow with it, glowing pink and green, along with red, beginning to just be the entire armada fighting against the parademons from one side of the island, as the Amazons focus their forces to other sides. Now, back over Metropolis. Sarah, in the Hellbat suit, has been facing down Darkseid, and has actually been trying to get him and kill him. As Midoriya, he comes flying in. As soon as he comes flying in, he immediately just barrels into Darkseid. Darkseid bringing his hands up and catching catching him. As there's a loud shockwave, sending it all flying throughout the city. Everyone beginning to hear it as windows shatter and break. As we do have Izuku Midoriya versus Darkseid. Now, this is the photo that is his suit right now. Most of the colors he does have are all good and, good in there. but with the ultraviolet power, along with this just being a badass picture, I thought it would be good to have it. And yes, I'm aware that that is the Orange Lantern ring. Ignore it. Anyways, now, Midoriya, he tells Darkseid that he has a lot of nerve coming to his planet. Why would I not come here? Especially after hearing about your little accidents, along with your resurrection. You were touched by the equation, weren't you? Fat chance. I'm not going to answer you. All I'm going to say is, you pissed me off. Midoriya began to glow with rage, willpower, and fear, along with hope, as Darkseid just looks at him, telling him that that will not last. He knows it. If you could not beat one of my simple servants, or that warlord, then you will not beat me. As he goes to blast Omega Beams directly at Midoriya. Midoriya countering with his own heat vision. This surprising Darkseid. You have an abilities of the Kryptonian. Is that why you murdered them? To gain their power? To get stronger? Fat chance. I did this to myself because I had to save people. If I didn't, millions would have died. They're already dead. The only way to save this planet is to succumb to my will. That is it. I will save it, then I will rule it. A trophy. And a token to my brilliance. Midoriya telling him that he talks too much, then boosting forwards, slamming into and immediately just punching Darkseid. As he used the sword in his other hand, it began to morph back into a weapon. Him going to slash upwards as Darkseid backs away from it. And it actually cutting open the bottom of his chin. Blood beginning to pour from the wound. Darkseid immediately seeing that, and realizing that that weapon is not something to laugh at, nor is it a joke. Interesting. The two going towards each other. And Midoriya, feeling the weapon talk to him, it beginning to try and compel him. As Midoriya screams at the weapon, telling it to be quiet, telling it that it is nothing to him, it will not get in his head, he is done being manipulated. Darkseid just watching this. This boy has truly lost his mind, gone into madness speaking into an object like that. Then again, what is it? Midoriya rushing forwards, as the sword begins to split into two, his other hand coming up and grabbing away at the blade, as it morphs and changes, as he begins to duel wield it, beginning to try and slash away into and trying to cut into Darkseid. Darkseid going on the defensive, as Sarah comes barreling in and trying to attack, trying to smash into and hit Darkseid, as he goes to sucker punch her across the face. Her dodging underneath it and immediately uppercutting him, as he goes to blast her with his Omega Beams, Midoriya bringing up his right hand and blocking the blast as he basically just hits Darkseid in the face. Him stumbling backwards as Midoriya gets a slice in, being able to cut him across his torso. However, it was not deep. Darkseid is still pretty thick-skinned, but he was able to cut away at his armor. Darkseid bringing his hand up and smashing away at Midoriya's face, expecting a one-hit kill. Everything he had. Midoriya being sent flying away and smashing into the ground as he gets back up. As the swords change into something else, both of them begin to layer underneath his hands and all across his arms, creating gauntlets, along with spiked claws covering his fingers, as he begins to create constructs, creating things of everyone. creating constructs of everyone he's ever seen, his own Lantern Corps. As he orders the constructs to attack Darkseid, kill him and take Mongol's head. Take Darkseid's head as his trophy. Darkseid telling the boy that this is meaningless, he goes charging in, going to smash into and destroy all of his constructs as Midoriya runs forwards. And immediately meets Darkseid with a punch. Darkseid being surprised that these weapons, or this sword as he calls it, whatever this piece of tech is, has lasted that long. The force of a Kryptonian and an old god. Meeting. Didn't even phase the metal. He'll have to take it for himself. That will be his trophy from this battle. The two going away at each other, throwing punches and haymakers, along with Midoriya actually slashing him across the face with the gauntlets and the claws. Darkseid going to actually blast him with Omega Beams. Midoriya just bringing up his hand as he creates something out of the metal and chucks it away at Darkseid. One Omega Beam going straight for Midoriya, as the other one gets hit by this metal. The metal doesn't stop as he goes and stabs directly in Darkseid's eye. Him actually bringing his hand up out of pain. As the other Omega Beam, Midoriya brought his hand up with his gauntlets, and the palm of his glove being hit by the beam, Midoriya closing his hand at it, along with basically forcing his own power back at Darkseid, blasting him and hitting him in the chest. Now, Darkseid, he would have actually been sent backwards, being put off of his footing. Impressive. One mere human. No. Something more. Kryptonian. Perfect. Now, this is whenever more and more of Darkseid's people begin to arrive. His children. His generals. As they begin to start causing chaos around the city. Sarah diverting her attention to them, while Darkseid calls in one of his special troopers. Doomsday. Doomsday being brought onto the battlefield, and registering Midoriya as a Kryptonian. Midoriya being shocked to see him, along with being filled with rage and shame. He is beginning to spark and go away with every single emotion he has. This is annoying him. These feelings he hasn't felt in a long time. And he needs to release this power. As he goes barreling towards Doomsday, and Doomsday starts charging directly at Midoriya. Midoriya being able to actually slice into and get a solid hit in on Doomsday, stabbing into his chest as Doomsday tries to go and hit him. Midoriya creating a construct and immediately pulling Doomsday's arm away from his face. Doomsday, one of his spikes, being able to actually cut into the side of Midoriya's arm, grazing it, as Midoriya turns his hand backwards and slashes upward as Doomsday, being able to claw away part of his cheek. Darkseid watching Midoriya's battle. The battle being very short-lived. Midoriya knows the flaw in Doomsday. You can damage him. You can kill him. But he will just come back, choosing to do something more tactical instead. His gauntlets and his, gloves turn back into the swords. Midoriya then brings his hands up and immediately turning it into a scythe, as he goes to swing away at Darkseid. Well, Doomsday actually, my bad. Doomsday beginning to try and get Midoriya, going to grab him. Midoriya being able to actually cut off and slice away one of Doomsday's arms, then immediately just moving his body weight and shifting it back the other direction. The other side of the blade immediately forming into a scythe. Midoriya slashing off Doomsday's other arm, and then breaking the two in half, slicing away at Doomsday's legs, beginning to cut into them. Doomsday is already beginning to regenerate, so he needs to act fast. Midoriya grabbing him by his face and wrapping him up in chains, beginning to squish away at him. As he grabs Doomsday by the chains and teleports away. Darkseid confused and wondering for a second, what is his plan? As Midoriya, he is out in deep space. Far, far out in deep space. As the portal opens up, and Midoriya chucks Doomsday in that direction. He has a good idea of what he did. As he watches Doomsday smash into the source wall and go to get back up. Going to jump towards Midoriya as Midoriya backs away and blasts away at him with power. Doomsday immediately being pulled backwards as he looks behind him and sees nothing as he's being pulled back into the source. Midoriya smirking. He got his revenge for Superman. Now his own. As he teleports back in, Darkseid seeing him, as Midoriya just brings his hands and begins to start smirking, telling him that was fun. Now, face me, you coward. You dare call me a coward? Darkseid beginning to actually take off his armor and charge into Midoriya. Going to throw a punch as Midoriya actually does duck downwards and throw up his right hand, forming a glove as he actually does smash into and hit Darkseid's arm. As he actually does grab it and begin to start breaking it, blasting away at it with his heat vision, and then throwing Frost Breath over it. Darkseid immediately feeling his pain as Midoriya brings his hand backwards to go and smash into it. Him being able to grab Midoriya by his face and immediately throw him over his hand. Then telling him that is enough, bringing his leg up and going to smash downwards on his head. As Midoriya catches his leg and begins to push back at it, telling him no more games. As he looks upwards and blasts away Darkseid in his face, trying to hit him in his eyes. At least his one good one. Getting back up and immediately grabbing him by his throat, pinning him to the ground as he begins to just pummel him by his face, smashing away at it as he just tries to kill Darkseid with his bare hands, using his power to try and restrain him, creating change in constructs that try and stab into his body. Midoriya actually doing so as he actually begins to try and stab into Darkseid's arms, and claw away at his joints, trying to disable his arm, being somewhat successful at getting through the skin, and some of the muscle. Darkseid just doing one simple thing, blasting away at Midoriya with his Omega Beams, sending Midoriya flying backwards and smashing into the buildings in the distance. Midoriya then just being left there for a second, before he does actually just get back up, flying back in towards Darkseid. Darkseid doing one simple thing. He grabs Midoriya by his arm, right by his joint, and squeezes, trying to break Midoriya's arm himself. He tried to take his own arm and his eye during the battle. So, let us see what will happen. Little human. Now, he begins to just start pulling, trying to pull off Midoriya's arm. Midoriya is somewhat beginning to scream out in pain, before looking back at Darkseid and immediately shoving out his hand, slashing him across his face, and digging deeper into that wound on his left eye. Darkseid actually getting annoyed, as he brings his own hand up and stabs Midoriya in his own eye, his left one. As he just begins to start digging his finger in there, trying to pull out the eyeball, telling him that he took one thing, so he will take another. As Midoriya himself begins to scream out in pain at this. and bring his leg upwards. One thing happening. He immediately just begins to feel his power overwhelmed and being overtaken, as he himself blasts Darkseid away in a large explosion before getting back up. Darkseid is surprised. He has never been pushed to this limitation, not even by Superman, Kal-El, actually wiping away the blood around his body and inspecting his own wounds. A missing eye, a slash across his face, which may form as multiple scars across his torso and arms, and a deep wound near to his right shoulder blade, or, well, right to the top of his right arm. Impressive. Now, Midori just begins to spark with his power as he stands back up. Darkseid just watching it course around him in all these different colors. Midoriya just beginning to smirk and smile as this sword begins to cover Midoriya's body more, covering away his torso and actually covering his eye, along with most of his face. His right eye being the only thing visible to Darkseid that he could see, along with his rings. Part of them. You can see that glow, clearly that is the source. The most intense part of his hands is his rings, along with his lower body. That is like a standardized piece of armor, easy to break, as Darkseid himself begins to rush forwards. Midoriya running in, as, over with everyone else, they have been able to take on the parademons. A lot of other heroes that survived were able to take them down and hold them off, along with regular people trying to attack them in groups, in clusters. Now, this is whenever, let's say Sarah in the Hell Batsuit is able to make her way around, taking out armies upon armies of parademons, and actually killing a lot of them. While Jiro has ordered more members of Midoriya's Lantern Corps, the Red and Ultraviolet members, to come back to Earth immediately and to defend the population. Now, they listen to her command as they begin to arrive. Now, Jiro herself is concerned, making her way over to Metropolis and seeing Midoriya course with all his power, and watching as Darkseid tried to kill him. Rushing forwards and the two meeting, as they're going at a grip of, a test of strength. Who is stronger? Humanity, or the one who wants to conquer everything? Midoriya actually begins to struggle with him, as he also begins to fire off his heat vision. Darkseid doing the same with his Omega beams. The two at such a close range colliding that it just begins to send both of them flying in the opposite directions. Midoriya being the first person off the ground. Darkseid actually turning around and seeing him, holding his arm, along with at least clutching his eye, telling Darkseid that he will not give up. This is his planet. He calls it home. For now, you really want this barren world, this world so destined to die? I will give it to you, but it will be where I bury you. Darkseid actually taken aback, seeing that as a legitimate threat, before at least smiling, a sinister smile, telling him that he has earned his respect, and that their next meeting will go differently. I wanted to test you, see where you stood. Now, that was fun. I expected a game, but I got an actual fight. Resistance. Just from you. Now, complete your mission. I don't listen to you anymore. I stopped listening to you the day I came back to Earth. Human, Kryptonian, whatever you are still mine. You still feel the expert in you, don't you? The pain of every single molecule being ripped apart. Shut up. The pain of everything you've ever endured. The lives you've taken. The bodies you've seen. Shut up. The mass graves that you've caused. The barren planets. Easy conquest for me. In fact, they nearly subjugated themselves under me just to survive. Midoriya looking up at him, and bringing up both of his hands, firing off 100% of each emotional construct he can. All these beams going straight for Darkseid. As a boom tube opens up, Darkseid actually going to block these rays. Before one thing does happen. This is whenever the boom tube that opens up behind Midoriya. And Midoriya immediately just turns around, going to bring his hand up to block these. However, before he could even do so, they would all blast him in his side, and hit him in his left arm and his left side of his body. Him almost instantly getting hurt from this, and smashing into the ground. Darkseid actually looking at him, and thinking for a second that would have actually hurt him. It's pitiful. Well, you've done well this time. Our next meeting will be our last. Darkseid leaving the planets, as the rest of the parademons there would be killed and taken down. But Midoriya is at least hurt and injured, being taken care of by Kryptonian healing, and a mix of the Indigo Tribe's healing ability. Now, with that being said, this is whenever everyone would be talking. Midoriya lost his eye in the battle and scarred up quite a bit of his left side. The wounds healed, yes, but they're still there. At least the signs of them. The scars remaining. Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry guys, it's very... Oh wow. It's already almost 3 a.m. Anyways. Now. Midoriya and everyone are talking. Along with the members of the Justice League. Finally at least confronting Midoriya. And seeing him as he is now. This array of power. And with this new form of armor. It being an odd piece. As Midoriya goes on saying that they were not there. They were not there to fight against Darkseid. He did that all on his own. And where were they? As Superman, or John, I believe his name was. I think that's Superman's son's name. Anyways, he would just go on yelling at Midoriya that they were trying to save civilians. And that if he was going to face Darkseid, he should have at least told people. Midoriya telling Superman that you can't really tell people whenever an intergalactic invader tries to subjugate your world. Then again, you're also powerless, jackass. I'm more Kryptonian than you are right now. You need to stop using that. You are not Kryptonian. then what are you? You're half. As far as I know, I have more powers than you do. That is not true, and you know it. Now, Midoriya would just bring his hand up to his eye, saying that you're right. I'm stronger than you, John. Right now, you're weakened. I'm at full power. In fact, I don't even feel the effects under this stupid sun, this darkness. None of it matters to me. We still feel that warmth, but we don't get that glow, do we? We barely even get half of it. Now, like I said, you can't stop me, and I'm going to take Metropolis. This city will not die. Your family will be saved. In fact, move your grandparents here, and they will come with us. Right now, I have to go keep a promise. Midoriya going to walk away from John. John going to run after him. Midoriya shines pink, and teleports back over to Themyscira, where they're taking care of the last parademons. Now, with that being said, when Midoriya does arrive, the Amazons and Jiro do see him, as they see Midoriya with this weird armor around his body, covering his forearms, most of his upper torso, along with it coming up to his neck and covering his left eye. Now, it also does run down part of his legs, basically defending anywhere where there is a vital artery. Now, with that being said, Jiro does run over to him and ask him if he is okay, since he looks like hell, along with part of his left arm. It's completely exposed, and you can see where it's scarring up. Now, he would just tell her that he is going to be fine, and that he was able to drive off Darkseid. Now, with that being said, this is whenever the Queen of Themyscira would walk directly up to Midoriya and stare at him. The two are almost on level. Midoriya is almost as tall as her. And she would just do one simple thing. Take a knee and tell Midoriya that he is a valiant warrior, and that he has been proven worthy. That weapon no one was supposed to wield, let alone control. You have my thanks. You helped to defend my home and my people. In fact, your companion, the woman right there, she was a very big help. We underestimated all of you. You have the thanks of everyone here. Midoriya is just telling her to rise, to get off of her knees. That is no place for a queen. As she stands back up, Midoriya then at least wincing in pain a little bit. His eye is supposed to be healing, but it's not. As he does actually get a better look at it. Whenever he does walk over and try and look at it to see if it's healed or not. Yeah, that's fucked. So, I guess that's gone. Midoriya at least bring up his hand and creating an eye patch. Deciding actually against it. Destroying the construct and having the gold piece cover his eye. Now, he would turn back around and float upwards into the air. And he would just begin by creating what he can. Creating a giant bubble around the island. And then pulling it upwards into the air. Midoriya then deciding that this will be good. This will be everything they need to do. Now, with that being said, Midoriya would tear Themyscira from the earth, and it would begin to raise up into the sky. Now, this is whenever he would begin to fly his way towards the new planets, and drop it off. He does actually think, though, do the Amazons want to be far away from the world of man? This world will be different. Somewhat asking that question to Jiro, to which the Queen would have grabbed her by her wrist and talked directly into the ring, telling her that they are perfectly fine away from his worlds. Midoriya just saying that this world will be different, and that if she truly believes that they would be done, well, if she truly believes that they will be fine far away, why not try joining at this time? This is going to be different. Your influence may help people. The Amazons unsure. The Queen does know that this boy is, well, different. Somewhat saying that they will be perfectly fine. However, some of their rules may change. We will be able to, possibly, be free to go and come from the island as we please. Midoriya setting it down directly off the coast of where he set down his own town. Now, with that being said, he is exhausted, and he is tired. His body is trying to heal, but he just keeps going. As soon as he does set down Themyscira, though, he would fall out of the sky, and immediately hit the ground. As, under the yellow sun, his body truly begins to heal, though he's just so tired. Now, Jiro and, well, Bakugo, along with a few of the Amazons, would have ran over, and seeing him, loudly snoring. Jiro actually at least happy that he's alive, and picking him up as they fly off, her taking him to Midoriya's old house, to see his mother, to see his father, and to at least have a place to rest. Now, with that being said, I do believe that that will be a good point to leave this off of. And I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing night. We'll catch you guys in the next part.